Assalamu alaikum. In this episode, we dive into your purpose, your meaning of life, really overcoming anxiety and fear of the future and creating a life that you love. The Quranic psychology model, the science of the Nafs, this is what we dive into, and I'm going to show you what you can do, the 3 steps to creating a life you love and relationships that flourish. If you're ready for that, let's dive in. Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to this week's episode where I want to really share with you something that's going to help you to create a future that you actually like, you actually love, you actually look forward to. And it is the most important thing because we humans, we believers, you and I, we've been created for a future. And when you're forever trying to live in the present, which is a good thing, but if you're always in the present and you're never connecting your present to the future, then it actually impedes on your growth. It actually prevents you from becoming the best you can be, and it prevents you from really creating the life that you could possibly create. And this is what we want to dive into here. So I want to talk to you about purpose. I want to talk to you about 3 things that if you do, you will create the best possible life that you can have. And this is something of a lesson that I teach my students when I am training people in the science of the Nafs psychology model, and really extracting from the Quran and Sunnah principles that we can live by. This is the fundamental basis of all of that. Like, we believers, we've been created for a future, and when your present is connected to that future, what's going to happen is that it's going to motivate you. It's going to make you want to get up and move. It's going to drive you. It's so important to understand your future. It's so important to envisage your future so that you've actually got something to look forward to. You know, much of the time people complain to me about not feeling motivated, not feeling drive. And if you're not feeling motivated and you're not feeling drive, it's because you haven't created a compelling future that you actually desire, that you actually want and you look forward to. And much of the time, look, we do this not because we want to do this, but because in the education system we just weren't taught this. Like, we were taught to collect accolades, accreditations, like qualifications. We were taught to go out and, earning your 9 to 5 and create some sort of family life and buy a home and a car, 2.5 kids or whatever it is. Like, we're taught these things. These are common, even as I say it, I'm sure it rings a bell in your mind, because this is what we're taught in society. What we're not taught, even in the Islamic education, we're not taught is that our present is meant for success. It is, the present life is actually the key to your eternal success. But eternal success doesn't happen unless you get success in the dunya. Now, success in the dunya is really about the 3 things that I'm going to share with you in this episode. And these 3 things, when you take them to your life and you apply them on a day-to-day basis, you will stop feeling numb. You will stop feeling numb to your life and bored and frustrated. You will stop feeling all of that, and you'll start to feel more energized. You'll start to feel more compelled to get up and move, motivated, drive. These are the feelings that we're after. And so here's the thing. We know from Revelation that we know from Surah Al-Hujurat that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that I haven't created you. He hasn't created us or the jinn except illa liya'budun, except as, people who will worship the Creator. Now, worship happens in different ways. Now, your purpose of life has to incorporate that worship, but worship is, in the most fundamental way to look at it, worship is your relationship with Allah. Now, there's the ritual worship of salah, siyam, like fasting. There's the ritual worship. But there's the worship of the heart, there's the worship of the tongue, there's the worship of the limbs. This is when you act and behave in a way that connects you to your Creator. And that connection, it's not just about feelings, but it is important to feel that connection. It's not just about feelings, but it is very important to feel that connection, because very often we worship without any feeling. We worship without feeling this, this khushu that everyone talks about. But ultimately, the khushu, it's the connectedness of your heart to your Creator. And that is a spiritual thing. That's a mental thing. That is not a physical thing. Albeit we do it within the confines of our rituals. Like, the mind has to be connected to Allah. It has to yearn for Allah. It has to look forward to, having that relationship with Allah, which is what gives us contentment, right? So the purpose of your life and my life is the same. However, the way that we fulfill that purpose is not the same. And this is what I want to talk to you about, because it's going to be something that drives you. If you decide on your future, if you decide on what your future looks like, and you make it something really compelling, something really exciting, something that gets you motivated, that actually is not just about you, but it fits in with how Allah designed you, then what's going to happen is that you will feel drive, you will feel excitement about your life, you will feel alive in your life. And this is one of the most important things that we could have. The future of us, we're taught in the Quran and Sunnah that we should strive for Jannah, we should strive for the highest Jannah, Firdaus, but also what we're taught is that we should strive to have the best life in the dunya, because your dunya life is the key to the akhirah. So the thing is, if you want to go through like feeling on purpose, like having a life that actually means something to you, then you've got to have something that connects your life from now into the future. And it's not just into the future of the akhirah, but the future of the dunya as well, right? So you got to plan for your life. So these are the three things I want to talk to you about, right? Number one, like, you must have purpose of meaning. Purpose of meaning, like, this is not we're not talking like your act of worship. The act of worship is just a part of your life. That's something that we do ritualistically. But within that, to bring that rituals of worship alive, you got to have purpose of meaning. That meaning is found when we actually do the things that we do because we want something in return. And that might be a feeling of contentment. That might be a feeling that I'm working towards a future that I love, in your mind. Then what's going to happen is that you actually start to live on that purpose. Right? Now, living on that purpose, what that looks like is that you're taking action. You're thinking about, you're planning your future, you're taking action. And you're not planning Jannah, you're planning the future of this life. Very often we think we're planning all the things that we're going to do to attain Jannah. But all that you do in your life will be to attain Jannah. So if you plan your life, like, let's just say between now and the next 10 years or the next 20 years, and you plan your life and you have a future of your life in mind, and you are thinking about your life when you're planning, then everything in that life, you connect it to your future in the akhirah. That's how you win in the akhirah. Everything that we plan for the next decade or 2 decades or 3 decades, the rest of your life, when you plan your life, you plan it with meaning. And the meaning that you get from it is that it is connecting, it's one, you're living on purpose, and it has meaning because it connects you to your future in this dunya. But that future of this dunya and everything you do in your life is connected to the akhirah. And the easiest way to do this is to connect it to Allah through pleasing Allah. Whatever you do in your life, do it to please Allah. That's the easiest way, right? That's like the simplest way to fulfill your life for the dunya and the akhirah. Connect everything you do, everything you think about, your plan, you do, connect it to the pleasure of Allah. If you do that, then you get to get everything you want in this life, in the future that you're planning in this life, and you get to create a result in the akhirah. And the result in the akhirah is determined by the rahmah of Allah, the mercy of Allah, which means that everything you do, because you did it to please Allah, Allah will give you the things that you want in the akhirah, which is Firdaus, which is the highest pleasure. The highest peak experience of life in the akhirah is going to be Firdaus. So that's what we want. So that's number one. Like, purpose is meaning, right? Your meaning, the meaning that you give to your purpose is not just the worship, but everything in your life becomes worship because you connect it to the pleasure of Allah. That's number one. Envisage your future. Number two is that you have to have this confidence and this quiet calm. And I say quiet calm because it's like this calm, quiet confidence that we have. This is like this beautiful silence that you can sit in this life. And this is despite all of the things that are happening in your life. Like, listen, I am super ambitious. My goal is to impact the entire Ummah by teaching them this science, the science of the Nafs, psychology and behavioral science. I want to teach the Ummah this. Why? Because this is going to make me the most successful in the Akhirah. En route to the Akhirah, I get to create the best life for me and the Ummah, inshallah, using this science. So that requires a level of confidence. That requires a level of calm. And it has to be this quiet confidence, because it's not the arrogant stuff that you're throwing up in everyone's face, the big I am, none of that stuff. What we're talking about is not the bling bling lifestyle. What we're talking about is, we're not saying that you have to go through life without all of the glitz and the glamour. You can have all of it, because Allah created us created the dunya for us. However, you want to have a quiet confidence. That confidence is based on your mental and emotional state. And that mental and emotional state is connected to your spiritual state. Because what that does for us is that it gives us a level of certainty and confidence. Certainty and confidence of belief. When you have this certainty and confidence of belief, what will happen is that you will create this quiet calm. And I say quiet calm, it sounds like crazy even saying it, but what that means is that you can enjoy the beautiful silence of your life. You don't need your life to be packed with so many things that you're forever like jumping from one thing to another, and you can just enjoy the calm, because many of my clients, my students, as I train the coaches and the therapists, the leaders, like the parents, as I train my students, what I find is that we get stuck in anxiety about the future, anxiety about everything that's going on. And what we're doing is that we want to be like, put our fingers in our ears and block everything out just so that we can get this calm and this peace. But you don't need to put your fingers in your ears to get a calm. You need certainty of belief in your future, belief in a future that's connected to Allah. It gives you a mental and spiritual calm. The fruits of that is confidence. This is what I train all of my students on, and this is what I want to share with you, because if you don't focus on creating this mental and emotional calm, then what's going to happen is that overwhelm and anxiety and fear and all of those things that disturb the silence of your mind is always going to give you a problem. And silence is like the oxygen of the mind. This is the only time that you can reflect. When your mind is constantly bombarded with these constant messages, and you're either on social media or you're reading, or you're just filling your mind with stuff. When you constantly bombard your mind with stuff, your mind doesn't have space to create that silence. But when it does, then you're able to reflect. This is, essentially what tadabbur is. Tadabbur is reflecting on the signs of Allah. And one of the, the most blessed signs of Allah is the faculty of your mind Allah has given you. Like, when you use it for yourself, you become really, truly, like, mentally and emotionally a giant. You become stronger and stronger and stronger. This is one of the reasons why I focus so much on the mind and emotions. Because you cannot have spirituality without mind and emotions. Because think about this. If you feel disconnected spiritually, it's usually because you've got some thoughts and emotions that are distressing you. Some thoughts and emotions that are creating fear for you, or anxiety, or overwhelm, this, pressure. And when we have this, what we want to do, especially people like you and I, we want to get into action. We want to do more things. The more we do, the more we think we're going to get a result. But actually what we need is the total opposite. What we need is that calm confidence. And the only way you can create a calm confidence is through really a state of clarity of mind. And the mind that we're talking about is the heart. It's not your intellectual reasoning. The Prophet ﷺ, he taught us in many different hadith about the heart, the importance of the heart. But the heart is your mind. And when your heart is settled, the mind is settled. When the heart is settled, your emotions are settled. You're able to connect to Allah much better than you could ever do if your heart is racing and panicking and in anxiety and overwhelm with all of the things that you think you've got to do in life. So creating a calm confidence is the most important thing. I say, after purpose and meaning, like, you need to have mental and emotional calm. That will give you confidence in your life, because you will use your mind and direct your mind to Allah, to revelation, to the science of the Nafs, which is what I'm sharing with you here, to create the results that we want. Number 3 is feeling fulfilled based on relationships. Like, you have to have good relationships, folk. Now, here's the thing. This is the number one thing that we're not taught. Like, no one is ever taught about relationships. You can go through life, you can go through university, do a degree, do a PhD, even study relationships, and you're having to research it and figure it out for yourself, because no one is taught how to have the best relationships. The best relationship is the relationship which has purpose. Now, I want you to think about this. A relationship which has purpose is a relationship which is based on your purpose of life. The best relationship that you're ever going to have, which is based on your purpose of life, is going to be your relationship with Allah. And that's what we call the spiritual, right? The spiritual is your connection to Allah. So that's your relationship with Allah. The other thing is that if you don't have this, very real, visceral feeling in your body, physical, that you feel when you are thinking about Allah, when you're doing your worship, when you're doing all of these things, then you're not gonna feel that positive energy that comes from that relationship. This is why we focus on dhikr. This is why we focus on salah, dua, siyam, the fasting. We focus on all of these things in order to give life to our most important relationship, the relationship you have with Allah. But along with that, you need to believe in yourself. Look, if you believe in Allah but you don't believe in yourself, you're always going to struggle. And this is the number one thing that I teach my students. As they go through relationship training, we're talking about relationship with Allah, relationship with yourself, because when you encourage yourself, when you become your best advocate, then what that means is that you stop running yourself down, you stop talking yourself down, you stop making yourself wrong and broken and needing fixing, and you actually start to embrace the skills and the qualities that Allah has blessed you with. And when you do that, your relationship with Allah actually improves. Your relationship with yourself becomes, almost like a fortress that you can build your life on. It is so important. Like, relationships are the most important thing. And if you want to have good relationships with other people, we'll talk about that in another episode, but if you want to have good relationships with other people, you've got to have these 3 things down. Think about this. Like, if you don't feel on purpose in your life, if you're always frustrated and bored and always trying to find a better way to live, you're always going to be frustrated. You're always on this constant treadmill, running, trying to find your purpose and meaning. If you're never actually feeling confident and certain about your life, you're always going to be in this state of anxiety, always in a state of emotional highs and lows. And if you don't have a good relationship with Allah, with yourself, then you're always going to struggle in your relationships with other people. These are the 3 fundamentals that every individual needs. Like, if you focus on this, you get to create a life of true transformation. Like, I talk about transformation all the time, because real transformation doesn't happen without this foundation. These 3 things are the foundation of transformation. When you focus on this and you begin to change this, your life will change. The people in your life, their lives will change. Your future changes. You become motivated. And here's the best thing about this. You can do this because Allah created you for this purpose. That's what we were created for. And you can do this. What stops us is one of these 3 things. And when you start to overcome these 3 things, then you begin to change your life. And it has to begin with creating a life of meaning, living your life on purpose, and really creating a closeness, that relationship, that compassion that you have for yourself, it will be something that you show to others. So if you struggle in your relationship with others and you're always on edge, you're always struggling in one way or another, it's usually because you're going to be struggling with yourself. Become your best advocate. Like, talk yourself up, stop talking yourself down. You can stand up for yourself instead of knocking yourself down. You can actually stop feeling this empty feeling because you start to live with this relationship in mind, with yourself, with your creator. Allah created you, the best of the people. The problem isn't that Allah didn't create us that way. The problem is that we don't see it. And that's why when you change these three things, what will happen is you will live a life and you will treat your life like a mission. Like I treat my life like a mission. I try my best to live on purpose. And even this, me sharing this lesson with you, like I am committed and dedicated to sharing this message. The science of the Nafs is revelation. It is a Quranic psychology, behavioral science. It is what I am totally like committed to sharing with you. And if you take this and you apply it into your life, you're going to watch your life change. You can do this. You are created to be the best of the best. And if you take these things and you use it on a daily basis, you're going to see yourself incrementally, and I don't want to say slowly, but you're going to see incrementally and safely grow beyond who you are today, and you're going to create a life that you love. This is how we create a life of dreams. I want to suggest that you focus on this instead of focusing on what you feel you don't have. Because if you focus on these three things, your life will change. You will shape it in the way that you want to, and you will get to create a life that you absolutely love. And you and I, we deserve to create that life. It doesn't matter the mistakes that we've made. We always have istighfar, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the perpetually forgiving. And it doesn't matter the mistakes that we make, as long as we are willing to become the people that we want to be. And you are created to be the best. And I want to leave you on that. If you know someone who needs to hear this message, share this with them, because the reality is that you and I, we can live our best lives by ourselves, but we're an ummah. And I have set up this ummah initiative to share the science of the Nafs so that we can all live this life. Share this with someone that you think really needs to hear this. And the most important thing is take it, use it in your life, and just work on it slowly. You will see that your life grows, and it will grow in such a massive way, and you will love it. And I'm going to leave you on that. Jazakum'Allahu. Hey guys, thanks for listening in on this podcast. If you are ready to up-level your mind, emotions, and relationships using a Quranic solution, you're going to love this podcast and what we are going to be sharing over the coming episodes. This is the most fundamental training that you're going to go through in your life. You can use it to transform your life, your mental and emotional health, your relationships, how you parent, how you are in your marriage, and truly your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you are loving this and you want more of it, click subscribe. Or if you want one of our free trainings, go to themuslimlifecoach.org and sign up for the free training. You're going to love it. I'll see you on the inside. Jazakum'Allahu.